today. Stu loves Mobility Day.
I do. It's a nice day for recovery. And it was a beautiful day
Day's not over yet, dude.
so far.
Wow.
So
All right.
far, it has been a beautiful day.
Well, good. So, welcome to
Cheers.
the. Oh yeah, I have a non-political cup as well, so I'm good. What does yours say?
Just
1991. Oh, that's your year you graduated from college.
yep. Bought one of these as a swag at the swag store where you get this stuff.
Where you get the swag, hence the swag store,
Yeah.
which is always good. Yeah, I refuse to give my alma mater a dime. Uh, I don't, they got mine. They got their money out of me. Yours is a different story. Mine was transactional. Yours was life choice. So that's a good thing. So what are we talking about today, Stu? What are we talking about on the Jim and Stu show before the
Well,
podcast?
I say we dive deep into what is new and exciting at the Jim Edwards method. Mainly,
Okay.
I tell you this because you sent me a new wizard that I played with, and it went really well a
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a couple weeks ago; it was last week. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was last week.
yeah. Not even 7 days ago. So no, it
Yeah.
was really good. It's been a really popular article that I created out of it, and you can't ask for better streamlined way to create some content that you just fill in the blanks. And like I said, I just want to show people how cool it is.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because we're taking a bit of a shift in our business over the. Wow, Michael, that's a good way to get kicked off LinkedIn. He's, um, anyway, uh, he threw me. Um, One of the things that I'm been really focusing in on lately in content marketing scripts in the gym. Yeah, that was a good one, but we're just going to leave that one alone. Um, so is thinking through when you look at the stuff when you're doing content that and really want to look at the results that you. Good morning, C Ray. You want to look at the results that you're getting and use that as a way to guide yourself down the trail as opposed to doing what most people do is just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, not really paying attention to whether you're actually getting anywhere or not. And especially when it comes to something that maybe isn't as immediate as running an ad, where you run an ad, it worked. You boost a post, you're like, hey, this many people saw it, I got this many clicks, this many interactions, that kind of a thing. So people are just like, it's almost like a tax where you just kind of pay it and try not to think about it because people say you're supposed to do it.
Hmm.
And I fall into that sometimes too. And so about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we did a story sprint inside of Content Marketing Scripts, and which is a sister or brother or
Family member.
interbred cousin of the Jim Edwards Method Premium. And we did a story sprint, and the story sprint was basically we do a live workshop every Thursday in Content Marketing Scripts. But what we decided to do was do story sprint where we got on every day at 2:00 for an hour. We all did a story using the same wizard, and then we spent at least 50% of the time giving people direct feedback on their stories. People jump on just like we are here, read us their story, and we'd hit them. So I didn't have a ton of time and said to myself, you know what, self, let me just do this. I'm going to do it, and I'm also going to do it. So in other words, I'm going to do the story sprint, and we're going to use this to create the content for what we're doing. So we use the stories in the newsletter. We did what we normally do. No extra mailings, no extra anything. We did the story in the Wednesday newsletter. Then we did the article week. We used another story. And then Friday, Terry does all the books. And I'm getting ready to come downstairs to get to work. And she says, hey, did you do like a special promo this week or something? I said, no. She said, well, the sales for 7-day ebook are through the freaking roof. Whatever you did, keep doing it. I said, okay, dear. Yes, whatever you say. I mean, you just kind of like, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking that it was,
a better than average day,
Right,
yeah.
right. Better than average week. So I looked and I was like, holy crap. And then Susan sends me an income report every day. And I looked at the income report on Friday and it was like, oh, crap. So I went back and looked at the numbers and our sales had increased week over week. And we were promoting the same thing we promoted the last week. Week over week, sales up 438%. 430. What would you do with a 438% increase in sales? And it wasn't like we sold $10 worth of stuff and then it was $40. It was like significant enough that the wife gets that look in her eye and is like, yeah, you do that again. So that was what kind of got me rethinking about some things. It's really got me thinking about it. And I went back and looked at other stuff that we've done. And what's the stuff that gets the best results? And surprisingly, it's not necessarily the how-to content. You think, oh, man, I'm going to show people how to do something. They're going to love me. Not necessarily. That's not the stuff that seems to get people the most excited. In fact, that's like being the teacher that gives out homework. It's like, hey, I'm going to show you something that you have to go do. Well, crap. I don't come on Facebook or read your newsletter for more crap to do. I got enough crap to do at home. And so started to really investigate and look at the things that we could help people to be able to create content that's super, super valuable, but makes it more likely that people will buy instead of scratching the itch. So that's a long-winded way of answering your question. What's kind of new? We're adding new scripts. So we've added, I think 10 different story scripts to content marketing scripts. And then I started really analyzing the things that have worked over the years. And one of them is when you talk to people about their beliefs. And beliefs are a way to get people really fired up. You want to talk to somebody about their beliefs? Just mention the A word or the C word or the, I'm not even going to say what the words are because people get nuts, but it's all over the news. One starts with A, the other one we've been dealing with for a couple of years starts with C and ends with a number. Okay, if you can't figure that one out, you need to go take some remedial logic. So I put together this new wizard, which I'll show you guys, and inside of content marketing scripts. But I first made a few pieces of content, put it out there to see how people would react. And it's like, bam, we did that in the Wednesday thing. We did it in the Thursday thing. We didn't have a 438% increase of a 438% increase because at that point, I'd be like, no, I ain't talking to you today, Stu. I'm just going to keep doing this stuff, But we maintained a higher level week over week from before. So what's up, everybody? I say hi, Michael, C. Ray, Lena, Muhammad. What's up? So, and everybody else, please make sure to hit your like or heart button. So I was super excited by that because it's something, there you go. It's kind of creepy when you do it, Stu. Please stop. That's not for you to do. Okay. That's not, hi, everybody, give us a heart or just a like, just touch the button. No, that ain't you, Stu. Okay. No, it's like hit the like button or I'll come twist your underwear up over your head. So point is, I started looking at other stuff. And like we said, with the beliefs, so I did it. Everybody's like, hey, this is great. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't teach anything, but in the end, I am teaching them something. I'm actually helping them to be inspired, to aspire, to understand why they think certain things. And it's more entertaining and fun as opposed to, hey, here's 10 ways to do this. It's got its place. So I took a couple days and I put together a new wizard to do this. And I used it again and people liked it. And so I do what I always do. Okay, this works for me. Let me give it to Stu. See, do what I always do, give it to Stu and see how he do with it. And so Stu took the wizard, used it, and you got good results. You sent me the article, was really good. You put it up on military.com, so it must not have sucked too bad.
Nope, I didn't put it on military.com, I don't think.
I thought you did.
No, it's on my site.
Okay.
I might have sent you a different one.
All right.
But I have used the wizard and sold it to military.com before.
Okay. Absolutely. So what's up, Vicky? What's up, Charmin? What's up, Kevin? Okay, so it'd be kind of fun. I'll just show you guys. If you guys want to see the wizard, let me know in the thing. Vicky says she says it's a great wizard. And Vicky's in content marketing.
What's the wizard called again?
The wizard right now, it's called the Belief Reframe Wizard. I think I want to call it the Belief Buster. I think that sounds like a cooler name myself. The Belief Buster. Which one do you like better? In fact, y'all tell me in the comments which you like better. Do you like Belief Reframe Wizard or do you like Belief Buster Wizard? Which one of those do you like better?
That's a no-brainer.
Okay.
Belief Buster. 100%.
Okay, Belief Buster. So Susan, we need to make a note, please, if we could change the name of that. All we got to do is just change it on the page and change it. I can do it. It's not a problem. We get it done. Everybody likes Belief Buster better. Okay, cool. Yeah. So let me show y'all. What? She talking smack to me. What?
I am. I said you won't do it in the menu. You'll do it on the page, but then you won't do it in the menu.
I thought I wasn't allowed to touch the menus because I broke it last time I did that. And you said, stay out of that. Just let me do it.
Has that ever stopped you before?
After the second time of doing it, yeah, it stops me usually. Okay. Well, thank you, Susan, being the adult behind the scenes. Always need one of those. All right. So let's go take a look at this. It's pretty cool. And let me zoom in on this a little bit. So this is the Belief Reframe Wizard, soon to be rebranded the Belief Buster Wizard. So basically, it just gathers all the information and stuff from you. And it didn't, man, I wrote the thing in like 7 minutes. Let me share with you. It actually has the cool blue text and stuff. And you every time you click it, it'll do a new one. So, most people believe writing. You want me to just read this to you real quick? I actually used this one. It did really, really well. It's not that long. Okay. Yeah. So most people believe writing a book is really hard, takes a long time. It means sitting down at the keyboard for hours a day and months on end, but actually nothing could be further from the truth. Here's why I say that. People hold this belief. I don't like that. People think this because that's the way pop culture is always portrayed writing a book. A lonely author locked away in an attic, slaving away at a typewriter by candlelight. They're not alone. I was right there with them. I like that one. Or I thought the exact same things. In fact, I used to believe, here's why. Okay, there you go. I thought the exact same thing. Here's why. When I set out to write down my first book, I sat down at the keyboard, came up with an outline, started typing. I worked on that book for 4 years, off and on, with no real clue what I was doing. And I kept banging away, and finally it was finished. Then I had an epiphany that changed everything, or then something happened that totally changed my perspective. After I finished the book, I tried to find a publisher and failed miserably. I decided to use my book as a business building tool in my real estate practice. The information I shared in the book made a huge difference for people, and nobody cared that it wasn't published by a real publisher. I realized it was the information, not my writing, that mattered. I also asked a question. Is there a faster way to get the information out of my head and into book form in a week? Not in 4 years. Asking that single question changed everything. I finally figured out that creating the content for a book is not about your typing speed. It's about using tools and technology to get the information out of your head fast and into a usable book form. So here's how things have changed. I can and have created dozens of books and sold hundreds of thousands of copies over the last 25 years. Not only have I done it over and over, but I've helped tens of thousands of others be able to do it too. And that means if you want to author your own real book and use it to build your business, stop thinking in terms of writing it and start thinking in terms of creating it super fast using tools and technology. So, great article, threw a little stealth close on the end of it. By the way, if you'd like to discover the system that I've created that shows you 9 different ways to have your book done by this time next week, check out 7dayebook.com. It's as simple as that, dude.
Yeah.
So, and the cool thing that we did last Thursday when we did our workshop, we probably had like 50 people in the workshop. And so everybody did it in real time with Dexter and me. And then we had people start jumping on. And two things I want to share. One, we had more people than ever before jump on wanting to get their feedback. In fact, we had to go long because I think, Susan, we had like 15 people jump on to get feedback. And then I also noticed that they all were so passionate in the way that they told the story because they were sharing something about a belief. And what I mean by they were so passionate, the delivery, the way that they read the story was off the charts with emotion compared to other stuff that we've done. And I didn't coach them to do it. I wasn't prompting them to do it. It was a natural thing. And that showed me that one of the most powerful things that you can do to create emotion in people, to create content that's going to move people, is to talk to them about beliefs. And beliefs, idea, and you could use this wizard for beliefs, for myths, for misconceptions, for all kinds of stuff. And a belief, bottom line, is an idea. So this is basically a way to write about or create content about an idea and be able to share it with people. And I'll show you one other cool thing. The neat thing that this will also do is this will spit it out for you as a as a Word doc, so you can just download it and use it as an article, or you can copy it straight off of the page. But the other thing that it will do, and I just want to show you, and here we go. So here it is as an article, and this is basically what I did. I just downloaded it, edited it, and we used it in my newsletter. And the other cool thing that you can do is download it as a PPTX file that you can open in PowerPoint or in Pages on a Mac, or not Pages, Keynote on a Mac, or in Google Slides. And the cool thing is that you could use this if you wanted to do it as like a Facebook Live. You could use this like a teleprompter, or you could use this to really create a little mini presentation, or as part of a presentation. You could put a couple of these together and string them into a little mini webinar. So
nice.
Lots of cool stuff that you could do with this wizard. So this is just one of many that we are adding in this whole new trajectory we have of, kind of getting away from the how-to stuff and starting to give people some alternatives to just giving the farm away. And it's striking a chord with people. And interestingly enough, we were doing a masterclass on Monday for high-end mentorship people. And one of the people was in there where, I was going real in-depth into this topic, like super in-depth. And one of the ladies in there, she teaches a topic that's very critical. And she was like, I can't, how can I not teach people something? I'm a teacher. I have to teach them. I said, you can teach people without teaching them with how to. And in a lot of respects, especially with the topic that you're dealing with, you would better serve them to inspire them to want to learn all they could about the topic than giving them one or two little factoids that they'll only half remember and half understand, but they think they know enough to be able to solve a very serious problem for some kids. And the light really went on right then. She had been really resistant to it, and then she finally got it, where she's like, oh my God, you're right. It'd be like used to giving somebody one piece of fitness advice and then them thinking that they could go be in shape forever. It's better to do things that would inspire someone to want to commit to getting in shape and go do the things it's going to take to get ready to get in shape before doing it. It's like teaching somebody how to do a push-up is not the same as helping them be inspired as to why they need to work out 5 or 6 days a week, why they need to, set up a program so that they're not going to quit or hurt themselves in the first 2 days. You'd be much better off helping them with that than or inspiring them what it would be like to be a SEAL or a special operator or something like that than to immediately launch into, how to do more pull-ups.
Sure.
Just saying, or at least have a balance.
Yeah, I found that wizard worked really well with thinking about the biggest mistake most people make with regards to something that's your business, right? Like, for instance, for me, it was, people want to go into special ops, but they cannot do it because they neglect actually pushing their level of fitness to a different level so they can get through the training.
Right.
So that's what I kind of focused on that. It's a belief or maybe even lack of education, right? It's a belief that is an error.
Right. Well, the belief that they know enough to be able to do what they're trying to get done. They believe they know enough to get the result. And
right.
They don't.
And the cool thing about it is that I was that person at 18 years old. 18-year-old Stu screwed up just like everybody else does. Right. And so it's a very emotional tale, when you go through that journey of like, look, you can avoid a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You can avoid a lot of pain, by just following this little method.
And that story is going to resonate with people more than, hey, here's how to do pull-ups. And one thing, Michael just asked, how do we subscribe to your Wizards? Contentmarketingscripts.com. You can go check that out. We got a cool training there for you. You can sign up and join us. We do monthly master classes. We do weekly live workshops where they're actually do shops. They are, and that sounds kind of corny, but literally you show up, we show you how to do something, then we do it in front of you, with you. People do it in real time. And then we spend the majority of the class actually giving people direct feedback. You show us your content and we tell you how to make it better. And then we actually even have in that the software to help you distribute it everywhere you need to put it. So it's a sweet deal. It's making some real impact and changing some lives. So there you go. So that's some good stuff. I like it. And the other thing, I remember 2 things. One, people remember stuff like that story. I remember the first time you ever shared that story of when you failed the PT test when you got to the Naval Academy because you screwed up on the sit-ups.
Yeah.
But that made me feel great, because everybody thinks that you were always awesome and you piss excellence and poop rainbow dust. That's not the case. It makes you more. It makes it okay,
makes you human. It also makes you realize that there is a journey.
Right.
Everybody has to go through this particular journey. I'm not exempt from this journey.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And there are so many aspects to the journey that are you're able to explore. That it's not like you have one story to tell. One story leads to another story, leads to another story, leads to hey, I forgot about this. Like I think tomorrow I'm sending out, or one of the days this week, we're sending out what I think is a really good piece. It's a story where I learned about hyper targeting messages to people. I actually learned before email was ever a part of anybody's lives when I worked in a furniture store back in 1990. And what I learned about targeted messages to the right people and how a tiny list could make you a lot of money. So, that's something fun. I mean, it's just weird how these things will start popping up once you get in the habit of not depending on strictly telling people how to stuff. It's almost like that's the easy thing to do, but it's not the most effective thing to do. And when we fall into that trap of always doing how to, do you remember the name of the teacher in high school that gave the most homework? No,
eh,
not really. Why?
yeah.
Because they made you feel like crap and all they did was give you crap to do. But you remember the teacher who was cool and who told cool stories and who answered your questions and who actually seemed to care about you as a human being.
Oh,
Those
yes.
are the ones that you remember. So don't be the teacher that gives too much homework.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right.
Good stuff.
Good Jim and Stu show. Let's transition to what's up, Keith? Glad you're here. Says, hey, fellas, I'm at work, but on break, catching some of these nuggets. All right. So, ready for the podcast? It's episode 160. 160.
Yes.
I mean, if every day that we had done this podcast was in a row, we could have had, if we were chickens, we could have had at least 5 different clutches of baby chickens in 160 days. You believe that, Stu?
Yeah, I was not expecting to go there. That is interesting.
It is. It is. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, Jim Edwards here, and welcome back to another episode of the Sales, Copywriting, and Content Marketing Hacks podcast. This is episode 160. I'm your host, along with my trusty co-host, Mr. Stu Smith. Welcome, Stu.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm so glad you're here, and I know we have an exciting topic to share with the folks today, a nice follow-on from our Jim and Stu show, which if you've never seen the Jim and Stu show live, you can on Facebook. Catch us at the Sales, Copywriting, and Content Marketing Hacks Facebook group. You can join for free. Just don't be a jerk.
There you go.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, this one is about being strategic with your content. And that's the question I'm asking everybody. Are you strategic with your content? But first of all, are you consistent enough to even have a strategy?
Ooh.
Okay, that's the first hump of this. You have to be consistent. But then when you are consistent and you think your content game is strong, do you really have a strategy that's working?
You'll think your content game is strong. Okay.
So that's kind of where we're starting this. And then, I just want to say it doesn't always have to be, repurposed content. It can be different platforms. It can be different answers to problems that you're solving. There are many ways to put content out there into the world.
Sure.
Is it just following a logical path? And can you track it? Can you see the results that are occurring from what you post every day or what you create every day?
I thought you just made me think of a really good analogy. It's like when the idea and the keyboard really love each other and get really close together, they have a baby known as content. Totally inappropriate, but it was better than my dumpster baby analysis. So I want to ask you a quick question, though, Stu. A lot of times this word strategy or strategic gets thrown around a bunch. As a former Navy SEAL officer in charge of multi-million-dollar, if not billion-dollar equipment and men, what does strategic actually mean? What does that mean?
Well, it's a bigger picture.
Okay.
So it's strategic would be, winning the war. Tactical would be winning the battle.
Okay.
Right? In a very elementary explanation. But it's just a bigger picture to thoroughly understand what is happening. You have to have both, tactical and strategic, but the strategy side is just the entire picture.
Okay. So that's a segue for me trying to manage my camera angle because I think we're going to permission to go to the board, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So we're just going to say consistent content. So strategy equals your plan, right?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
And tactic equals consistent content of specific various types.
Also,
stuff.
yeah, how you're going to do the plan.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So
like strategy is the plan. Tactics are how you're going to do the plan.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Plus. Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking there's a third element here. Okay. The tactic is how you're going to do the plan. And then what would the content be? The consistent content creation. Plus distribution. Is that the execution? Yeah, go with me.
Yeah,
here. Okay.
I would think so.
Okay, so strategy is the plan, the big plan. The tactic is how you're doing the plan. And then the execution is your consistent content creation. So the strategy is I want to use content to build a following on Facebook. So the tactic is I'm going to go live 5 times a week and I'm going to answer questions and stuff. And so the execution is consistent content creation. I go live with specific frameworks. So one might be Monday might be Q&A, Tuesday might be an interview, Thursday might be a monologue for, that kind of stuff. Plus, not only do I put it out on Facebook, but I also tell people on my other channels to go watch me over on Facebook. So then being strategic with this means going back and doing it for I don't know, what do you think? 2 weeks, 1 week? 1 week?
Yeah, definitely just enough to where you can see a trend.
Okay. You're looking
at
for
least that long.
Okay, so you're looking for a trend so that you can go back and based on your plan say, am I getting closer or further away from my goal? Whatever the result is that I'm trying to achieve, which we probably should have defined that at the beginning too. What's the result that you want to get? That's what you do. And so if you're getting closer to your goal, what do? Keep doing it. If you're not getting closer to your goal, if you're like, hey, it's not going the way I think, let me kind of change what I'm doing or change the content that I'm creating. I mean, these are real closely tied.
Sure.
But if I hadn't gone back, we told the story in the Jim and Stu show about increasing sales 438% week over week. Your results may vary. But if I hadn't gone back and looked and seen that a trend had been affected one way or another, I would have just kept doing what I normally do. And it would have been a blip on the radar. And I guess we just had a good week. The stars aligned.
Something else, Jim, too, is it really comes down to assessing. So if you're not assessing these things, you're just guessing. And I guess that's the biggest difference.
Ooh, that sounds like a pretty cool thing there. If you're not assessing, you're guessing. It's kind of like what you don't measure, you can't improve. So Absolutely. We really have a 4-step process here I'm seeing for being strategic with your content. You got to have a strategy with a result in mind. You got to have the tactics of how you're going to execute the strategy with content. And then you need to have built-in assessment to see whether it's working or not. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the hook for this is what a Navy SEAL can teach you about content marketing. Ooh, that's a decent hook.
Actually, that's pretty good.
That's not a bad hook. You guys tell me in the comments whether that's a good hook or not.
That's kind of cool.
That's not, or the 4 steps, or how content marketers can use the same 4-step strategy that Navy SEALs used to take out Osama bin Laden.
Let's do it.
Strategy, tactic, execution, assessment. You could even sell them rocks that they use to do their after action report. You sell them the actual rock that they pass around the circle, that the only guy holding the rock is the one who's allowed to talk. The genuine SEAL rock.
Hey, let me tell you why this is important.
Okay.
Jim, is because we tend to be creatures of habit.
Yes.
And if you ever notice somebody who is a prolific poster on social media, you will see trends of how they post.
Yes.
You know, it might be a video one day, might be a picture one day, might be a meme the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this kind of daily process that they go through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just because you are a creature of habit doesn't mean you have a strategy.
Right.
You might just have a really
decent habit,
organized process that works,
yeah.
But it's not necessarily a strategy, because if there's no way of really assessing if the whole thing's working or not,
right,
you don't know if it's the right method
mm-hmm.
to do it. And all it might change, you might not have to change a single thing about what you're posting. You might just have to add in a little tactic in there, like a stealth close or a better picture, or just little things like that can turn it, your normal content, and make it a little more strategic to what you're trying to do.
Right. And that's really the assessing is the measure and improve step, and making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. People say that's a good hook. Robert says using a thumb. What a Navy SEAL can teach you about content marketing, ... using just a thumb. It sounds like a Chuck Norris. That sounds like a Chuck Norris thing. What's the coolest thing you ever got to shoot while you were a Navy SEAL? Did you ever get to shoot like a rocket or like a 50 cal Maldives or any of that?
Back then it was the AT-4.
Okay.
So it's an anti-tank weapon. I mean, I always, the 50 cal was fun, but if you shot too many 50 cals in a day, you were basically hung over for a couple of days.
Really?
I mean, the shock wave hit you so hard. In fact, they've discovered, after 20 years of war, that a lot of the problems that people are having are the concussive waves from shooting too many 50 cals.
Okay.
And it's like a TBI type issue.
Okay.
So yeah, those always made me kind of like, I was nauseated for the next 24 hours if I shot like 5 rounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sick. So that was understanding like the kind of force you're getting subjected to. But my favorite by far, the MP5.
Okay.
I mean, that is just a smooth weapon. And if you put a little silencer on it, and go full auto, all you hear is the mechanics of the weapon occurring.
Okay.
And normally you don't hear that when you're shooting. You hear the bangs and stuff, but it is such a smooth system.
Huh. So when anyway. I get mine out, it'll entice you to come to my house again. Make your every 8-year journey.
It's a good. Anyway, those were fun, but
cool.
They the bigger they were, they came with a cost.
Okay.
So
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else we want to talk about?
Well,
strategic with the content.
You can think of it this way too. That plan right there, I mean, it's a really good plan. You can use that method for anything. Doesn't have to be content marketing. You set up a strategy that's going to lead you towards a goal. You got a certain level of tactics on how you're going to get there, couple options. You might have to play around, see which one works best for you. So what are we doing? We're testing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you make sure it happens. You can't just like think about it saying, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. You got to do it. And then you have to assess. So
Right.
that is a really good 4-step process for any goal achievement.
Sure. Well, and let me ask you a question. What else would somebody need to do? I mean, there's really nothing else to do. Figure out what you're trying to get done. I mean, it's almost like the scientific method. You know, here's the result I want. Here's what I think I need to do, or here's the overall strategy. Here's what I think I need to do. Then I need to go execute and do enough stuff so that I can compile enough data to be able to evaluate whether it was working or not. And then once I figure out what is working, I'll keep doing that. And whatever's not working, I stop doing what's not working and just kind of try and take myself slowly up the ladder to just being awesome. Awesome.
You know what's funny, Jim? Is you
Huh.
almost can't have strategy starting. It almost has to be in the next shift of this. Like you're planning to set a goal, you got tactics, you got execution, you assess, you figure out something that works, and that's your strategy.
I can see you could back into it, yeah, unless you
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah.
If you're trying to figure something out on your own, but you normally don't want to try and figure stuff out on your own. Go
Sure.
find somebody who has already gotten the result that you want, whether it's in the same industry or different industry. See what their strategy is. What tactics did they use? How can I, if it's the exact same industry, let me do the exact same thing, because then I can at least see what happens and be able to measure my results against the results they're saying they got. And so always try and borrow somebody else's strategy, even somebody else's tactics. That's one of the reasons why people love my wizards and love all my stuff so much, is because they don't have to think. They pretty much go right into doing. And it's as easy as just filling out a form, whacking a button, and getting an amazing result. You don't have to learn all this stuff. It just speeds it up. And that's really what all those wizards are. Those wizards are basically a time machine. They help you compress weeks of learning and understanding and fiddling around into a few minutes of just answering questions about you, your customer, the ideas and other stuff, whacking the button, and you get that first result that you can then edit, as opposed to having to learn and inculcate frameworks.
Yeah, I find it great for me because I love writing articles, and it's just a great system to come out with that first draft, put it right into my, Shopify blog section, start editing, adding pictures, and boom, got a nice little closing at the end.
There you go.
I love it. I love the
how often
many
do
of those
you
wizards as can.
How often do you publish your content? How often do you publish a piece of content?
I do every day on social media, whether it's a video on TikTok or it's a picture video combo on Instagram. Facebook usually gets something too, of the same type of stuff. I'll tend to link articles into Facebook and Twitter more, just because it's easy. You can actually use links, whereas in Instagram and TikTok you can't use a link, unless it's in a story.
Right.
So there's so many different variables that kind of drive how you post into these social media platforms. But I also publish 3 articles a week on another website, military.com, but I'll also write 2 more articles a week and a couple of videos, do a couple live Q&As. Thinking about going 2 a week now because they're getting very popular, and I'm seeing my YouTube channel grow because of my live Q&As.
Curious. What is your plan? What is your tactic or execution on those live Q&As for translating that free content into people actually buying stuff?
Well, it's fun because I almost challenge people to ask me a question that I haven't already answered.
Okay.
And right, so I got two screens going. I'm answering questions. Someone asks a question, I type it into my Google search, hit my name at the end of it, boom, and I've got an article already written to answer that question.
Okay.
And when they go to that, it's on my store, and it's a whole lot. So I'll pull a lot of people who ask a question. Hey, that's a really good question. I've already answered it. Check it out right here. But I'll give you like a minute synopsis of this, 500, 600 word article.
That's brilliant. And I love that. And I'll tell you why, because you can tease them with the article. They know that there's more. They've seen that there's more. You got the curiosity thing of you just pulled it right out of Google. You give them enough to get them thirsty, but not to get them the results. So they go read the article. So they've interacted with you. You gave them part of an answer. They've then gone and read an article. By the time they see the call to action or the offer, they're like, here, just take my money. I mean, Stu's got my stuff. That's brilliant. That's really good.
Another one that I do is I do the live Q&A, but I also combine it with what I call the combat swimmer stroke critique. So people send me a video, I critique it live for them. And I usually have these situated, a day before, so I'm ready to go with like 2 or 3, maybe 4 of them during that hour. So that's one show. And so my second show that I just teased yesterday in the live Q&A, I said, look, I'm thinking about doing this one again. What day works best for everybody? Everybody was like, Friday, let's do Friday, right? I'm like, okay, we'll do a Friday show. And I think this next one is going to be, can you ask a question that I've never answered?
Okay.
So it's almost a challenge to everybody who comes in. Like, and if they can't, I'll just keep sending them to I already wrote that article. Boom, it's there. Right. So anyway, it's be kind of fun. And then when I don't get one, I like make a big deal about it. Like, that's a great question. I've never answered that one. Here's what I would do. If I have this issue, right? In fact, thank you so much, because I'm going to write another article on that topic. So there will be an article written about that today. Yeah.
So people are like, why sleep when you can launch another show? There's a trend, and Susan sent me the article about it. Susan, I'm going to bring you on real quick. So Susan sent me an article about this thing that they're doing in China with e-commerce and stuff, where they're using chat and hyper connectivity with their potential customers, and kind of summarize can you summarize the article, Susan, what it was?
It's basically making like automated personalization through WeChat and reaching out to people and making them feel like they were part of the brand and included.
But developing relationships like you would have, like my mom used to do at the craft mall, where she knew everybody, or the craft shows, and people would come to see her at different malls, and she knew their color schemes. She knew events that were going on in their lives, and she was like a concierge of the craft show. And so people came to see her. What you're doing is putting such a high level of touch on with these people, but you're integrating sales into it. So it's like, hey, how do I do this? Hey, here's how you do it, and here's a whole bunch of how you do it on the other end of that is a book or a course or a training. That sounds exactly like what they were talking about in that article, is what Stu's doing on that live show, which is pretty smart. You're a smart guy, Stu.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. My dog was barking.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's become more of a challenge to actually find, because I have over 1,000 articles I've written. Right. And I've been doing it like 3 a week for 20 years almost. And So it's always fun to find the one I haven't written about.
Well, and that another thing I'm seeing that's working, especially like on the workshops we do on Thursdays inside of Content Marketing Scripts, when we gamify it in such a way. So like when we did the word of the day, instead of letting everybody pick their own word, we had everybody suggest a word. I wrote them all on the board. Then we had people pick random numbers. So then I counted on the board. And so we chose 4 words at random. Those you had to choose from those 4 words. You could only use one of those 4 words to do your word of the day content. And people got so engaged because it had just kind of a fun, challenging, not the same old thing feel to it. It's like Stump Stew. I wonder if stumpstew.com is available. That's probably an alternative lifestyle site or something. I don't know. But the key though is that you're making it fun and you're challenging people and it makes it different. And I think that's a cool thing. And I think that's really something to watch out for. What we saw in this article though about, and what you're doing, Stu, is just that extra level of service that if you had a store, like a local store that people would come into, you would naturally do that with people. Well, now you can do that. And I think that's going to be more and more important.
I mean, they even said in this article, the McDonald's was doing the same thing over in China, and they were having competitions between franchisees of McDonald's in China over who had more in their WeChat group.
Yeah. So figuring out ways to interact with people and add value and then steer them to making a decision to buy something and being happy with it was pretty cool. So thank you, Susan. Mm-hmm. Well, Stu, I think that does it for us.
That's a good one.
Yeah, if y'all want to learn how to create content and have a content strategy, if you want to discover how you can use non-how-to content to get people even more thirsty and excited for whatever it is you sell, head on over to contentmarketingscripts.com. Got a nice little training there for you. We'll teach you 3 secrets of content marketing, as well as give you a demo of a couple dozen or more scripts that will help you to create amazing content that'll get you more clicks and sales. So Stu, and if they want to just stop being chubby and have an amazing beach bod in the next 72 hours, what should they do? Drink nothing but water.
I don't know. Take a pill. Yeah, StuSmithFitness.com. There's no pills at Stu Smith Fitness. Just work.
No supplements or anything either? You don't have a supplement line?
Nope.
Not even pickle juice?
I do have pickle juice. That is handy.
There you go. All right. Well, we appreciate you all. And so we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.